The NFL draft is approaching us in April, and we do have a lot of time to sit down and diagnose where some of these players are going to land. As we know, it's not the most talented quarterback draft, but I do think it is a very deep draft. And I think the deepest part of this draft is in the running back class. I think this is the best running back draft in potentially the last 10 years that we've seen. And the running back that we're going to talk about today that's leading all the charts, that's expected to go the highest in this draft, is the Heisman finalist out of Boise State, Ashton Jeanty, who he really did have a tremendous year at Boise State last year, played a lot of great games, and I do think he's probably the best yards after contact runner that I've seen in what's been years. Best prospect that has those abilities that I've seen in years. And you go into it and you ask yourself the question, is he at this point, is he a top 15 pick? Is he a top first round pick? Is he in that conversation to be one of those guys? And the thing that I usually do when I look at players going into the draft and I look at situations of where they need to land, I usually say some of their abilities, some of their traits, I say them out loud. And if it all makes sense, if it sounds like something that would be sustainable because if you're going to draft somebody in the first round, the expectation is that this is a player that is going to become a franchise player that's going to be available for around 10 years. That's what you want to draft in the first round. That's what all these GMs, their mindset when they're drafting these people in the first round is franchise 10-plus year guy. That's the hope, at least. It doesn't always happen, obviously. A lot of the time it doesn't happen. But that is what the hope is when you're drafting one of these guys. And when you say Jeanty's abilities out loud, you say 5'8" running back, best quality is yards after contact. And I just don't know how sustainable a player like Ashton Jeanty is going to be in this league. I don't know how sustainable it is. I think that without question, it's possible that he's going to have some remarkable seasons early. I think the 2025 season, the 2026 season, maybe even the 2027 season, I think he could have absolutely insane production, have a really good career in those first couple seasons. But if you're looking long term, just given his size, given what he specializes in, I don't know how sustainable that is. And it would worry me. If he were to sustain a somewhat crucial injury in 2025, who knows? It's scary. And you look at other running back prospects that have similar size to a guy like Jeanty. A guy that comes to mind is a guy like J.K. Dobbins, who's a tremendous back at Ohio State, but shorter statured guy, kind of had a similar build to Jeanty, gets the league, can't stay healthy, and he's had decent production, but he has not been able to stay on the field for long periods of time. And I look at somebody like Jeanty, and if you're going to give him a high amount of workload, because he already had a ridiculously high amount of workload that he had to do at Boise State, I just don't know how sustainable it is. And they have him mocked to the Dallas Cowboys. And the Dallas Cowboys, in my opinion, are a team that is not a year or two away from the Super Bowl, maybe not even through. They, in my opinion, are not a Super Bowl contender. And I think if you draft Jeanty, I think that causes a lot of issues because he, in my opinion, needs to go to a Super Bowl contending team that needs running back depth because he is only going to have most likely a few great years of production. If he goes to Dallas, I can already see it now, the overwork that would be put into him, the stress that would be put on his knees, the injury that could come from that. If he goes to any team that's not established, without a good O-line where he might need to kind of dig them out of some situations, he is going to get injured. Just given his size, given that. If he goes to, I think the Chargers would be a great spot for him. Good O-line, coaches in the right position, good quarterback. I think that would be a great landing spot for him. I think that even if he fell to a team that already had a well-established back, like if he went to Baltimore and he was the heir to Derrick Henry, who doesn't have much more time, that would be a really good fit. There's a lot of teams that I see as good fits, but they're all higher-end contending teams. It is not the Chiefs. Wouldn't be a bad spot for him. He just needs to go somewhere that is a contender that is going to know how to properly use him, and that's not going to blast his usage to levels of insanity. And that is what is going to get him hurt, and that's what's going to derail his career. So I think what I do think is talent-wise, I do think he is one of the 32 most talented players in this draft. But if I'm not a team that is contending right now, that doesn't have a great O-line, that doesn't specifically need a running back, I wouldn't take him in the first round. I wouldn't. I think that he will go to Dallas at 11, but you really got to think about those things that I said. If he sustains a massive injury, he's got a smaller back to the point where it could be a very serious. So I don't think that, and this isn't me saying that running backs shouldn't go in the first round. This is not me saying that at all. I'm pro certain running backs going in the first round. It's just not ones that are 5'8" and that their best quality is yards after contact. It's like you're playing kind of roulette with that. That's what it's looking like to me, with just how the injury frequency of some of these running backs in the NFL. I just wouldn't do that. And this is such a deep running back draft class. Travion Henderson, Judkins. There's a kid from USC that's really good. A lot of different players. Several people that I haven't even thought to name right now. Really deep. And you can get some of those guys later. You don't have to give up a first-round pick for them. So given the talent of the running backs in this class, given his size, I wouldn't touch Ashton Jeanty till around pick 25. And that's what I think on the situation. I think he's a tremendous player. I think that he could have some really solid years, even if he goes to Dallas, I think it's possible that he could have a good 2 or 3 years, but I think that would be it after that. And as I said at the beginning of this video, when you are drafting a player in the first round, you are trying to get a guy that is sustainable for 10 plus years. And that's not what Ashton Jeanty is going to be to the wrong team. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you think he's a first round pick. Let me know if you think he's a top 10 pick in the NFL draft.